Don't we love Millie? Yes, we do. That's all. Oh, no. Do you love me too?
All is well, Fred.
I'm going to play the right song now.
Don't it feel good to
Good morning. Good morning to you, Unity Church of Overland Park. It's so good to see you all here in the room as well as in the balcony online. I'm Reverend Eileen Stulak. I'm the Associate Minister of Operations here. And this is my first day back after having a week or more off. And so I have notes this morning because I've just totally let go of work for a week. And I don't want to forget anything I'm supposed to do here this morning. So it's just always good to come back and be here with you first after a time away.
Hutchins. and I serve as the Assistant Minister of Community Connections here at UCOP, and I'm so grateful that you are back, Eileen. Notes and all. We're
Notes
happy
and
to
all.
have you.
Likewise. We were both out last week. I know you were speaking, right, in Lawrence?
Sunday, yes.
And this morning, Reverend Jackie, our senior minister, she is enjoying a day off for herself as well, and we'll be back in the office. We'll all be out at convention this coming week, so we're going to come back together, all three of us, sooner or later, right? I also wanted to make a quick point that we do not have an ASL interpreter this morning. We were unable to find someone available to be with us, and so we have notified those in our deaf community of that, and so we hope that they are online where they can just be with us through the use of the captions that are available.
And we want to give a big shout out, a thank you to those making the service possible, to our amazing music team, Reverend Fred, Millie Edwards, our guest musician today, and to the band, Terry Swope, Andy DeWitt, and Brian Stever. Thank you all so much.
And I also want to let you know, we all know we have a very special guest with us this morning. She's no longer a guest, she's a member of the family here. Reverend Sandra Campbell is with us. She'll be offering our meditation and our message this morning. And if you're not familiar with Reverend Sandra, she is the Associate Minister at Unity Temple on the Plaza. She is also the Executive Director of the Unity Urban Ministerial School, and she's currently serving on the Board of Directors for Unity World Headquarters. So let's all say a wonderful good morning to Reverend Sandra. And last but not least, the focus of our opening prayer this morning are fathers and those in our lives who have been father figures. Happy Father's Day to all of you who have served in that role. And of course, we hold those fathers that are no longer with us in this earthly plane in our hearts as well. And so let's move into our time of prayer for this morning. And so we take that intentional breath in and out, acknowledging God's presence, alive and active within us at all times, through us always, as us from the very beginning. And into that open heart, we call forth our fathers, whether they be our biological fathers, those who have been a father figure in our lives over the years. And we acknowledge in this moment any perhaps pain or discomfort that comes forth when thinking of our fathers, for not all relationships are easy and smooth. Or perhaps a father was absent from our lives. And collectively we send prayers of love and compassion and comfort to anyone who might be hurting in that way. And we do bless our fathers, the relationships we've had, the gifts that we've been given, the blessings we received, as they did their very best to pass along their wisdom, to offer their guidance, to make us laugh, to help us be strong, giving us a firm foundation upon which we have built our lives and perhaps pass those on to our children as well. And so for all of our fathers, our father figures, our mentors, our guides, we do send our love and blessings to you wherever you may be, here in this life or somewhere beyond. And we thank you for your presence in our lives. And if you would join with me now in affirming one of the most powerful statements of presence and power we have in unity, the words are before you on the screens. We know that there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the source of all good.
And as we take that, knowing that truth into our minds and into our hearts, we settle in to bless those that have sent prayer requests into this ministry this week. And we hold in our hearts the knowing and the truth that all prayers are answered in the knowing of union with the divine. We affirm health and wholeness. We affirm divine guidance unfolding, directing each one to their highest good. We affirm divine order, unfolding, unfurling, expressing in the right and perfect way. We know these truths for those prayers written and spoken, and those that we hold in our hearts this morning. We affirm all is well. Amen.
Three, four.
Get ready, 'cause here they come. Get ready, 'cause here they come. Get ready, 'cause here they come.
Alice, we're waiting for you to dance. That's right.
All right. Good morning. I'm Ellis.
And I'm still Reverend Jen. We have some announcements for you this morning. On Sunday, June 30th, we will hold our annual membership meeting. After the morning service, we'll have lunch available on a love offering basis. The meeting will begin around 11:45 a.m., and the Leadership Council will offer a review of the past year, provide a financial update and presentation of the new fiscal year budget, and elections will be held for the Leadership Council and Nominating Committee. All congregants are welcome to attend, only members will vote. If you are a member and unable to attend the meeting, contact the church office at ucop@ucop.org to request an absentee ballot. These ballots are due back to the church by Thursday, June 27th at 5 p.m.
We have a wonderful shamanic breathwork workshop coming up on Saturday, July 13, from noon to 4 p.m. Laura Wolf is a master breathwork facilitator and will lead us in the practice of shamanic breathwork as a means to facilitate deep healing, transformation, self-awareness, and self-empowerment. Discounted early bird registration is now open, and more details about the workshop are in our e-news and website. Also in the cafe. We encourage you to check it out and see if this speaks to you. Laura will be joining Reverend Jackie during Sunday service on Sunday, June 30th to share more with us as well.
Registration is now open for the Celebrate Your Divine Identity and LGBTQ+ retreat hosted by our Folks with Faith group at Unity Village. This event is taking place on October 24th through 27th and will include inspiring music, interactive keynotes, wisdom workshops, sacred ceremony, transformational art and meditation experiences, and of course, a drag show. Early registration with a discounted rate is available through July 31st. You can register online at folkswithfaith.org or by using the link provided in our e-news.
And now let us join together in speaking the joint unity vision statement. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
Thank you, Reverend Jen and Ellis. And thank you, Millie. Somewhere.
Some say the walls walls between us stand so tall. They don't see there's just one sun shining on us all. I say we each choose roads to call our own, but none of us are traveling through this universe alone. And this circle just goes on and on. It began before us, it will be here when we're gone. And this circle just goes on and on and on, connecting our humanity, joining me to you and you to me. Seasons keep spinning on the wheels of time. We stand, we fall, we struggle up the mountains we must climb. Different dreams may color what we see ahead, but our lives are strung together on a common thread. And this circle just goes on and on. It began before us, it will be here when we're gone. And this circle just goes on and on and on, connecting our humanity, joining you to me and me to you. On and on and on and on we go. Around, around and around we go. Live and learn and change and grow. Round and round and round we go. And this circle touches everyone as it crosses every boundary underneath the sun. And this circle just goes on and on and on. It began before us, it will be here when we're gone. And this circle, it'll go on and on and on. Someday we will come to see I'm joined to you, and you are joined to me.
Thank you, Millie. Thank you. You all are awesome. If I could play like that and sing like that, I'd be dangerous. In fact, when I do sing, I'm dangerous. I'm Reverend Sandra Campbell, and it's my honor to be here with you again. This is a special place, and as Eileen said, I feel like I'm part of the family. I've been here before. I hope that something that I say today, something will grab your attention and resonate with you, and lift your spirits. I think Eileen mentioned that Father's Day can be a triggering day for many people, and as Mother's Day. I'm going to talk to you about being grateful for the father that you had, no matter whether that father was exactly the father you thought you should have, but the gifts that you got from that father or the father figure in your life. So I always like to start with something a little funny. A little girl was asking her mother, "Where did we come from?" And the mother, being a biblical scholar, said, "Well, in the book of Genesis, it says that God breathed life into us, so we came from God." The little girl wasn't quite satisfied with that answer, so you know how children do. You go ask your daddy because you didn't like what the mommy said. So she asked her daddy, "Where did we come from?" Mommy said, "We come from God." He says, "No. We evolved from the apes." She goes back to her mommy and she says, "Daddy said we came from the apes." And she said, "Yes, but that's only his side of the family." So I usually start with my special prayer that's meant just for me. Lord, fill my mouth with worthwhile stuff and nudge me when I've said enough. But he doesn't need to nudge me because Eileen's going to throw something at me when I said enough. Eileen, I'm counting on you, but don't throw anything heavy. Oh, you're going to throw the water bottle? Okay. So I'm going to talk to you today about things my father taught me. My father was from a large family in Marion, Louisiana, and he was drafted in World War II. He was in his 20s. He had a young family, my mother, my brother, who's now 11 years older than me, and my sister, who's 10 years older than me. I wasn't in the picture yet. And my father was just a very happy man. He was always happy, always smiling, always loving people. But the effects of World War II were not very kind to many of them. And so he had a drinking problem. He was an alcoholic. So that's just to get you set up with the stories that I'm going to tell you about why we should be grateful for the father figure that we had. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So for those of you, how many of you are visiting Unity for the first time? Never been to a Unity church? Wonderful, okay. How many of you don't know much about Unity? So I always like to start with something just to give you a little history of Unity. So let's see if this clicker will work. Well, it worked earlier. I don't know. It's stuck on things my father taught me. Okay. So I'll go ahead and I'll pass through those while we're working on the technology. Unity is a global, inclusive, spiritual community where we offer practical, uplifting resources to help people of all faiths. And I want you to make note of that, all faiths. I came from my Baptist upbringing. And I found it so easy to assimilate into Unity because it's not exclusive, it's inclusive. And we get a positive spiritual experience. And it wasn't always positive growing up. It was a lot of hellfire, brimstone, and if you don't do this and you don't do that, you know where you're going. If you're not perfect, that's where you're going. Who's perfect? Who's perfect? And then Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, said, "We are all members of life's fascinating classroom." Pay attention to that. Life is a classroom. And that's why Unity is more of a classroom kind of a congregation. We teach lessons, we don't preach. One of my good friends, still steeped in the Baptist faith, said, "I can't wait to come and hear you preach." And I said, "You're going to be sadly disappointed. There'll be no preaching here." He went on to say that Unity is a link in the great can I flip now? Oh, yeah. He said Unity is a link in the great educational movement inaugurated by Jesus Christ. And he went on to say that our objective is not to tell anybody what to think or how to think. It's to prove the truth in Christianity for who? For ourselves. If you don't like something, chew the meat, spit out the bones. You'll get something out of it. You might not like everything, but there'll be a nugget there that you can take and chew on. He went on to say that the truth that we teach is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. And nor do we claim special revelations or discovery of new religious principles. Our purpose is to help ourselves and other people learn to use and apply these principles in our lives. Unity has 5 basic principles. One is that God is. That's it. All in all. The second one is that we are made in the image and likeness of God, therefore we are inherently good, even if we don't do good things, because we can choose. So when we think about fatherhood, and some of you who may have had fathers that weren't good in your estimation, didn't do all good things, maybe the father was absent, maybe you didn't grow up with a father, but that father figure may have been a teacher, may have been a neighbor, may have been a big brother, may have been a sister. The divine masculine is within all of us, just as the divine feminine. That's what we learn metaphysically. So this is all symbolic language, and that's why in Unity we dig deeper than what the literal interpretation of Bible says. There's a deeper hidden meaning that we can find in these truths. So I'd like to turn to one of my gurus. He passed away about a year or two ago, and that's Reverend Bill Cameron. Reverend Bill Cameron was the minister at Unity Temple on the Plaza when I started there in 1980. And he was amazing. He wrote this book called Great Dramas of the Bible. And we're studying in the Bible class, the Sunday morning metaphysical Bible class that I facilitate. We're studying Revelation, the book of Revelation, which is not the easiest book to read. It's full of hellfire and brimstone. But that's because we don't understand the language, the context, and that's what you get metaphysically. So Bill Cameron said, the Bible is the most instructive history that we possess, for it's truly the story of each one of us. The Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, is a story of the evolution of our consciousness. Genesis means beginning. We all have a beginning. And Revelation is not the end of time. It's the end of a time. It's an end of a time in our lives when we have learned better, we do better, we know better. We have a revelation. How many of you have ever had a revelation? Yeah. And when you have a revelation, your whole way of thinking, your whole way of being changes. You have a shift in consciousness. That's revelation. So we also, in Unity, we have what's called the daily word. And people all over the world read the daily word. It's in several languages. And this year we're celebrating the 100th anniversary since the daily word was first started in 1924 by the Fillmores. So today's daily word is Father's blessing. Today I bless my father and the father figures I have known with thoughts of love and appreciation. The man I call father may or may not be, I guess I could put on my glasses, and that'll help. May or may not be related to me, but he has touched my life with love. I give thanks to those fatherly figures who selflessly gave their time and love to help me grow into the person I am today. Their demonstration of patience showed me how to give others space and time. Their humor and lightheartedness taught me not to take myself too seriously. Their guidance and trust encouraged me to be independent and trust myself. I would not be the person I am today without the lessons of love and wisdom shared by my father. In so many ways, he gave me a strong foundation on which I built my life, and I am grateful and blessed with all he has given me. The daily word always includes a scripture from that textbook. Now, let me tell you, the Bible is one of many textbooks. You don't have to rely on that one textbook. It is a textbook about the evolution of our consciousness. So that textbook says, honor thy father. You'll find it in the book of Matthew, the 15th chapter, the 4th verse. Now, how did Father's Day start? Sonora Smart Dodd was attending a Mother's Day service in 1909 at her church in Spokane, Washington. And she was sitting there thinking, her mother died when she was young. Her father was a widow. He was a Civil War veteran. And he took care of his children as a single parent. Then he married again, and she had children. Sonora was the oldest. And his second wife died in childbirth. And as a result, he was widowed twice. He took care of his children as the mother and the father. He was a single parent. And while she sat in that service, she thought, why don't we honor fathers? My father was the greatest father in the world. So she started a campaign. Now, Mother's Day started by Anna Jarvis in 1907. She was attending her mother's memorial service and got the idea. And then the President of the United States passed the Mother's Day holiday, signed the bill in 1914, 7 years. But get this, Sonora spent 62 years campaigning to get Father's Day a holiday. It was first celebrated on June 19th because her dad was born in June at her church. In 1926, National Father's Day Committee was formed in New York City. In 1956, Congress passed the joint resolution recognizing Father's Day. In 1972, President Nixon established the third Sunday in June as National Father's Day. Sonora's intent was to honor all good fathers. She made it known she wanted to honor good fathers who was like her father. But you'll notice something about that scripture. It doesn't say honor your good father. It says honor your father. I want you to really pay attention to that. So my father was not the kind of father that went to the father-daughter dance with me. He wasn't the father that taught me how to ride a bicycle. He wasn't the father that taught me who to date or how to date, although he pretty much kept a shotgun by the door, but that's another story. He wasn't the kind of father that some of my friends I envied because I thought they had the best father, the good father. But I learned a lot of things from my father. So first of all, I learned about other influencers. Anybody know who this father is? Yeah, because my father loved shoot-'em-ups. So the one thing we did on Saturday morning, have one TV, it was black and white, 3 stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, remember that? Somebody is as young as me. And there was one TV in the living room. I couldn't watch the cartoons if Daddy was home. We watched shoot-'em-ups. And I know every jingle, every dun 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 dun. So I identified with these fathers, and my dad would be sitting there. He was a Louisiana kid from down home. They had their own ranch. They grew everything. They had everything. And he was the baby of the family, and he wore cowboy hats and cowboy boots all the time. So here are some good fathers that I identified with growing up. There's Ben Cartwright with his sons, Adam, Little Joe, and Hoss. You remember them. And then there's the Rifleman. Yeah. There's Lucas Kane and his son Mark. Now, the Bonanza show came out in 1959. I was 8 years old. What a time to be influenced. 8 years old, made an impression. And then the Rifleman, a year before, I was 7, 1958. And then, you remember them? Yes. My 3 sons, that's right. Stephen, Douglas, Mike, Chip, and Robbie, and their maternal grandfather and live-in housekeeper, William, Michael, Francis, Bub O'Casey. 1960 to 1972, I was 9 when that show started. See the influences as a child? Yeah, I didn't have the daddy that walked me down the aisle when I got married. I didn't have the daddy that took me to dances and parties. But my daddy influenced me with these shoot-'em-ups. And then Ward Cleaver, right? Leave It to Beaver, June, Wally, and Beaver, 1957. I was 6 years old. And then The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. With Ozzie, now these were their real names. I didn't know that until recently. They portrayed themselves, Ozzie and Harriet Nelson and their sons David and Ricky. 1952. I was 1 when that show started. So by the time, I was in elementary school when the show finished. And then, of course, you remember Andy Griffith, Opie and Aunt Bee, and Barney Fife. I was 9 years old, 1960 to 1968 when it aired. And then there was old Jeb Clampett. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jeb, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up from the ground come a bubbling crude. Oh, that is Texas tea. Oh, y'all know that. All right. I was 11. So I'm talking about, look, as a child, the influencers. Because television was a huge influencer in my time. And then, of course, the first black people who looked like me on TV. Now, listen how it changed. I was 38 when Family Matters started in 1989. So I already pretty much had a picture of what father figures should look like. But this helped my children to see the father figures that they could identify with on television. So it was Carl Winslow, Harriet, his wife, his daughter Laura, their son Eddie, and of course you know Steve Urkel, and Myra, Steve's girlfriend. And of course, I was 21 when Sanford and Son started, 1972, Fred and his son Lamont. And then this was the first time I saw the father figure in a mother, a single parent. Julia's husband had been shot down in Vietnam, and Julia was a nurse and a single parent, and her son, raising her son Corey. I was 17 when that show came on. So see how these influencers, you don't always get influenced by the right things if we don't show who we are. We don't get to see that portrayed. And then, of course, I was 39 when The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came out with Uncle Phil, Philip Banks, as the father figure. A upper middle class family in New York. And then there's the Jeffersons with George and Wheezy and Lionel. I was 24. So I'm giving you these ages because I want you to see how influencers, no matter what age you are important. So there are father figures that even if they're people you see on TV, can still influence your life, even if it's made up. Because some of these made up stories were better than the story that I had. So from 1974 to 1979, Good Times. You remember Good Times? James in Florida, and Michael, Thelma, and JJ, and Walona. It was the first time there was a two-parent sitcom, and it was created by the genius of Norman Lear. Two-parent black family sitcom. I was 23. And then, of course, The Cosby Show. 1984 to 1992, an upper-class family, Cliff, Claire, Sandra, Denise, Theo, Vanessa, and Rudy. Now, my kids really got a chance to benefit from this idea, the ideology that portrayed on national TV was a father figure who represented a higher level of consciousness. No matter what you might think of Bill Cosby today, you have to admit that show had a major impact on a lot of people. So, Philippians 4:8, the book of Philippians chapter 4:8 says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honest, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be anything worthy of praise, think on these things." So that's why I want you to think about the good father that you had or have, because there's good in everybody, because there's God in everybody. So here's an example. When at 4 years old, my daddy can do anything. At 8 years old, dad doesn't know. At 12 years, oh well, naturally dad doesn't understand. At 14, daddy is hopelessly old-fashioned. At 21, that man is out of date. What would you expect? At 25, he comes up with a good idea every now and again. At 30, let's find out what dad thinks. He becomes wiser as we get older. At 35, a little patience. Let's get dad's input first. At 50, what would dad have thought about that? And at 60, I wish I could talk it over with dad once more. So I talked about the things I didn't learn from my father, but let me tell you what I did learn. I learned to have a good work ethic. I learned integrity. My dad was murdered at age 60 on Christmas Eve, 1976. I was 25. The night before he was killed, he had me sit on his lap, and he said, "You're special and you're going places, and I wish I could live to see it, but if I don't live to see it, remember one thing, you're nobody if you're not trying to help somebody." My name, Sandra, comes from the Greek name Alexander, which means helper of mankind. So that night was his eulogy to me. And that has carried me forward through a lot of difficult times. One of those experiences happened when I was getting ready to graduate from Unity Urban Ministerial School, and I had to go to Detroit. And I was sitting at my classmates' table in Troy, Michigan, and just going over in my head that if I were, which never would have happened, but if I were being ordained in a Baptist church, my whole family would have chartered buses to come up there to see me graduate. But, what's unity, and it's not a real minister, just wasn't that important. And I was sitting there ruminating about that and feeling sorry for myself. My husband was there with me, and he went upstairs to use the restroom, and when he went upstairs, Jeanette, who was in the class behind me, she's from Minnesota, she said, "I have something to tell you, but I don't know how to tell you." I said, "Well, just tell me." She said, "Why? I don't want you to be upset if I tell you." And I just tell me. She said, "Your father is here, and he wants you to know he's proud of you." She had no idea what I had been thinking in my mind. She had no idea my relationship with my dad. She had no idea how much I missed him and his wisdom. My father taught me a lot of things. He taught me to love unconditionally. Our house was like the United Nations. He'd pick somebody up. When he got off work from General Motors, he'd go pick somebody up at the liquor store that was homeless, bring them to our house. He worked nights, and get my mother out of bed to warm up leftovers. And we had a little shotgun house, and they always had, in the basement, it was a little area that was curtained off, just a concrete basement with a rug, a dresser, and a bed. And there was always somebody, and there was never an exchange of money. Both my parents are Southerners. Mom's from Louisiana also, and Arkansas. He taught me to be kind to strangers. You never know who that is that you're helping. The integrity part I learned from my mother, who passed away in 2021 at 101, living with me. My mom never had dementia or Alzheimer's, and she had a great recall. And she said to me, when your daddy was drafted in World War II, he had a chance to get out of it. And I go, really? Yeah, the farm, the people who had the farm adjacent to my grandparents' farm were white, and they offered that they could keep Daddy from going to the war if he came to work for them. My grandfather had a standard rule that he gave all 5 of his boys. You work for yourself. This is our land. Willie Wayne couldn't read or write, but he amassed 240 acres of land. He had his boys haul the haul the logs to the paper mill, and he would take most of their money, and they would whisper about him under their breath about we're doing all the work, he's taking our money. But what he was doing was buying them land. So as each one got married, he had land right there that was already for them, and built their house. And they didn't even buy anything. My mother says when they were last to marry, because he was the baby of the family, and they didn't buy anything for a year because Papa Willie put everything on his tab at the one store in that little town of Marion, Louisiana. Integrity. My father said, before I come to work for you, I'll go to Uncle Sam and work and go to the Army. He drove ammunition trucks behind enemy lines in pitch black darkness called the Red Ball Express. He never talked about it. I've had to do research to find out what he did and what that was. That was very dangerous. And he risked his life like many did. And fortunately for us, he's one who did come back home. But he came back home with a drinking problem. Now, my father worked for General Motors for 25 years before his death. He loved his job, never missed a day of work. I come home from work. I worked for the government, started at 19, and I heard they had sick leave. I was going to be sick. So my mother kept, Tammy is now 55, my oldest. My mother kept Tammy. I just had the one. And I came that day, and Dad says, you working today? No. Oh, is it a holiday? No. Well, what are you doing home? I got sick leave, and I got the tongue lashing of my life. He said, that's cheating your employer. Now, this man only went to 5th grade, but he had great integrity and very smart. He said, don't ever let me hear that again. When when you're supposed to be at work, you be at work. Now, if you're really sick, that's different, but you're not sick. You should be at work. Integrity. He taught me to get a good education because he didn't have one. And he didn't say a lot about me, to me, but he told all of his friends, all of his coworkers. At General Motors, when the lunch whistle blew, everybody in his department, metal finishing, would go to every vending machine because he had to bring home cinnamon hot balls, Hostess Twinkies. That's why I have, I thank God, Dad, for this today. But anyway, Hostess cupcake, Guy's barbecue potato chips, and I am hooked on those. And he'd open his black lunch pail. It could be in the middle of the night. And he'd wake me up, and my mother would fuss at him, but he'd wake me up. No, that's my baby. I want her to, and see what I brought you. And, he was always doing things like that. He taught me not to drink by watching him. That's a lesson that you can learn. You can learn from the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't drink. I don't want to drink. I don't like the feeling that I have. He taught me not to dip snuff, because that's what he did. And when I see that brown ring around his mouth, and I go wash the car, and it just was splattered with snuff on the side, I'm never doing that. And it didn't smell good either. He taught me to have a good sense of humor, and he did. He was an amazing, I don't even know that he knew he was funny, but that's why I like jokes today. My father worked at General Motors, but he told us that we could never buy a Buick, Oldsmobile, or a Pontiac, because those are the cars he worked on. He always bought a Ford, because he didn't know what went on at Clay Como, but he knew he was drunk down at GM. And he was serious about that. We could not, my first car was a Volkswagen. It killed him to sign for that car. German car, he fought in the war. No, we're not. And I had to beg and plead, Daddy, please, it was popular in the late 60s and early 70s to have a Volkswagen. He finally signed for it, and I couldn't drive a stick, but my brother taught me. So talk about father influences. My brother was the one who set up my gifts under the Christmas tree, because my mother knew my father, she wouldn't know what shape he was in or if he was even home. So my brother did that. My brother taught me to ride a bicycle. My brother taught me a lot of things. In my first marriage, my brother taught me one of the first best lessons I ever heard. And I can't say the same words he used, but he was a detective. He just retired a few years ago in Kansas City, Kansas. And my brother would never give you advice. He'd never tell you what to do or how to do unless you asked for it, and I didn't. So I was back and forth. I'm gonna get a divorce. Then we're back together. I'm gonna get a divorce. Everybody knew we were on the wrong track. He got into drugs, and I was the only one working, and we had one child, then I had another, and I was always getting a divorce. But the family would be so happy, and then they'd see me go back, and they'd be so mad, so it was back and forth. And one day, after this big argument at the house with my mom, my sister, everybody trying to convince me, you're better than this, you can do better than this. Why are you trying to make this work? And my brother pulled me to the side, away from everybody else, and he said, stop telling everybody what you're going to do. Just do it. They'll read about it in the paper. All you're doing is causing more confusion and more hurt. If you're gonna do it, do it. He says, when you realize that you can't make chicken salad out of chicken, you'll do it. And he was right. That's an influencer. He was an influencer, and he still is. He's 84 and looks like he's 60, and I'm 73, and he's still an influencer. So we can learn something from the best and worst influencers. Now and then my dad would take me fishing with him. I couldn't touch the worms, I couldn't touch the fish, couldn't bait my hook, lost his pole, but he liked the company. He taught me that fishing is a form of meditation. So that's why he would go fishing. So we can learn something from the best and the worst, because every father is a good father. They can only teach what they know. Unity's fifth principle, we live the truth we know. We walk our talk. And Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. So I don't have a single picture of me with my dad. My biggest disappointment. That's me on the left in 1954 at the age of 3. And on the right, you see my sister, Marie, who was 5. My mother, and if Marie was 5, Mom, they didn't have Marie until she was about 21, so she was 26. My dad was 4 years older, so she was about 25, he was 29 after the war. And then you see Grady Jr., my brother, who was 6. This was 1946. Not a single picture. But this month, we're focusing on the power of imagination. I don't have time to get into the 12 powers, but the power of imagination right between the eyes, the third eye, is where I envision. I go into my meditation, I see myself in the picture with my dad. And I know I'm in the picture. and I focus on the lessons that I learned from him. I think of all that I'm grateful for, all that he taught me. There's a story of a little boy who idolized his father, loved the ground he walked on, but he could never get his father's attention. His father worked really hard, was working all the time. By the time the father came home from work, it was usually bedtime. This particular night, the boy stayed up. He greeted his father with a big bear hug and said, "I love you, Daddy." His father was distracted. The little boy said, "How much do you make in an hour on your job?" And the daddy looked at him like, that's not a question children should be asking. These were times when children were to be seen and not heard. And finally, the little boy said, "Please, I really need to know." And the father said, "Okay, I make $20 an hour." He said, "Well, could you loan me $10? And the father was really upset at that. He said, "So that's the only reason you're asking me, because you want me to give you some money?" He says, "Go to bed. I don't want to hear any more about this." So the little boy goes to his room. The father starts thinking about it, feels guilty. Maybe he wanted to buy me a present. So he went to the little boy's room and he said, "Are you asleep?" And in a very sleepy voice, he says, "No." He said, "Here's the $10 you asked me for." And the little boy said, "Good." And he reached under his pillow and he pulled up all these dollar bills. He said, "Now I have $20. Now I have enough. Can I buy an hour of your time?" Sometimes we're so busy and so distracted that we don't realize how much influence we have on the future. So this Father's Day, remember, you can't buy time. Think of the father figures who were and are the influencers in your life, your greatest teachers, and thank them. Remember, nobody is perfect. It's been 48 years since I last spent time with my father. He's always in my thoughts. And I know he's wherever I am, he's right there, especially after Jeanette told me that story. He was a good father because he did the best he knew how, and we can only teach what we know. Robert Louis Stevenson said, "There's so much bad in the best of us and so much good in the rest of us that it ill behooves any of us to criticize the rest of us." This textbook we call the Bible, and everyday events include stories of good fathers and not so good fathers. But the greatest lessons that we can learn, whatever that father figure was and is in your life, are forgiveness, unconditional love, understanding, acceptance, and gratitude. Don't take these for granted. Think on these things. If my father was here today, I would tell him how much he taught me. I'm sure when he left, he had a few regrets. He was gone too soon. I'm so grateful for all the lessons that I learned. So this is what the Daily Word says, "I bless my father with loving thoughts of gratitude." And as you see, I'm standing at his grave at Fort Leavenworth, where my mother is also buried now. The scripture says, "Honor your father." It doesn't say honor your good father, or only if you had a good father. I love you, Daddy. Happy Father's Day.
God is, I am right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. God is.
God is, I am. I invite you to take a comfortable position wherever you are. Shake off any anxiety, any feelings of stress, and just commit yourself to be here now. Take these words as your own. As I awaken and breathe in the freshness of the morning air, I am filled with gratitude. Thank you, God, for this beautiful day that stretches before me. Bird songs filling the air, flowers nodding on the hillside, and a gentle breeze against my face remind me how abundantly blessed I am. I invite you to take a deep, relaxing breath, and as you feel led, as you exhale, lower your eyes or close them. Feel the presence of God right here, right now. God is in you. There is no place to go or look for that presence. Wherever God is, you are. And I want you to call to mind an influencer, a father figure who has made or is making a difference in your life. I want you to, in your heart of hearts, whether they are still here on this earth plane or they're on the other side, to say thank you. That is a prayer. Thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the love, the joy, the understanding, the forgiveness. When I give thanks, I increase my ability to see the good in everything and everyone. I do not wait to find reasons to be grateful, because the very act of saying thank you is its own reward. Focusing on gratitude, I am reminded of the abundant blessing and miracle that I am, and all those who have influenced me such that I am who I am today. In that consciousness, I invite you to just continue to breathe and then sit restfully and allow your focus to be maintained on your breathing. If you feel your thoughts trying to pull you away, just breathe. Just breathe in the silence. I invite you now to just take a deep, relaxing breath. Feel your arms, your hands, your toes, every part of your body relaxed and at peace. And when you're ready, open your eyes and return your attention to this place and this time, feeling more grateful for all the gifts of those who have influenced your life. And so it is. We say thank you. Thank you, sweet Spirit, for all of the many influencers and those whose lives we influence as the father figures for many, just by walking our talk, living the truth we know. We are grateful. Amen.
God is, I am, right here, right now, right here, right now.
What a wonderful, heart-opening, heartfelt message that was, Reverend Sandra. And one thing that she said really touched my heart because it was something that I learned a long time ago. And it is that people that come into our lives, they can bless us, they can be models for us for how we want to be ourselves, and they can also be models for us as to how we may not want to be in our own lives. And that can coexist as we figure it all out for ourselves and make our own choices. And I believe it's because that kind of understanding is grounded in love. And love is what this ministry is all about. We are our own influencers, as she said, in our own way. Each of you influence this ministry and all that we are and all that we can still be by the way that you show up. And you give of your time, you give of your talents, you give of your financial gifts. And we take this moment every single service to just honor that, honor you, and bless our gifts that are given in so many different forms, grounded in divine love. So whether you're taking your phones in your hands or you're holding a tangible gift in your hands or in all of our gifts we hold in our hearts, let's bless them together with the words of our offertory prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am joy-filled and grateful.
There is a power, a presence. One love that can only be God's love. Oh yes, I know that I walk, oh yes, I walk in the love of God. There is a wisdom, a knowing, a loving, a true. Whatever you need to know will come in God's way to you. Just say until it shows. I will pray. I won't move on till I know. Oh yes, I know that I walk with God. Oh, the power, the glory, the love of God is everywhere. I can feel it, it's everywhere. I can see it, it's everywhere. And I know in my heart, yes, the power and the glory and the love of God is everywhere. I can see it, it's everywhere. I can feel it, it's everywhere. And I know in my heart, yes, I walk in the love of God. There's a power, a presence, one life of all, and no other power can exist outside of the infinite. Oh, one love that can only be God's love. And oh yes, I know that I walk, oh yes, I walk in the love of God. Oh, the power and the glory and the love of God is everywhere. I can feel it, it's everywhere. I can see it, it's everywhere. And I know in my heart, yes, the power and the glory and the love of God is everywhere. I can feel it, it's everywhere. I can see it, it's everywhere. I can feel it, it's everywhere. I can see it, it's everywhere. I feel it, it's everywhere. Yes, it's everywhere. I know it is everywhere. The power, yeah, I know. I walk
band. You guys are all wonderful as always. Sandra, thank you so much for being here with us. A joy as always. And when you arrived, you should have received a small card that has a little tearaway message in it that was from Reverend Sandra. If you did not receive one, we still have some available. They're near the exit doors as you leave. Feel free to pick one of those up on your way out. Well, every month we acknowledge one of our volunteer teams here at the ministry, and this month of June we are honoring our sanctuary crew. These are the folks that come in early, they put everything up and together, and then they stay after and put everything back where it belongs so that we leave the space as we found it. And so if you are on our sanctuary crew team, would you please stand if you'd like so that we can acknowledge you and thank you for all that you do. All right, a few reminders this morning. Our Yarn Blessings group is going to meet tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock right out here in the cafe. And this is their kind of social gathering, so bring whatever kind of craft you may be working on and just come and do it together and join in some fellowship and time of community with others. And then this coming Saturday, the 22nd, our Folks with Faith will have their monthly meeting. It starts at 10:30. Again, it will be here. There's also a Zoom option online. Doors open at 10 o'clock. And then a save the date. I believe Reverend Jackie may have mentioned this last week. For August 1st through the 4th, save that window of time on your calendars. That is the date for the Celebrating Our Souls Conference that's going to be held out at Unity Village. And UCOP is a very proud sponsor of the conference through this year. It is hosted by the people of African descent in New Thought. We're going to be making a call out a little bit closer to the date for some volunteer assistance out there. It is just one more way that we can show our love and support for the Black community in New Thought. There will be powerful New Thought speakers, including Michael Beckwith, as well as Charlene Manuel. You don't want to miss this if you're able to be there. So mark your calendars to stay tuned here in the services, as well as online for more information about that conference, how you can attend, and also how you can help in terms of being a volunteer. And so let's join together now and speak together the mission statement for our spiritual community. Unity Church of Overland Park transforms lives and empowers people to make a difference in the world. Join us next week. Reverend Jackie Fernandez will be back, and with her will be Reverend Ann Tabor. She is a seminary and ordination classmate of Reverend Jackie, and Ann Tabor is also the woman who facilitated the anti-racism class that I took from the Anti-Racism Institute a couple of years ago now. So it's going to be great for me even to connect with her in person and no longer just on Zoom. But she is the senior minister at Unity of Arlington in Texas. And their message, and get ready for them. I'm telling you, bring your seatbelts because we're going to have to buckle them up because it is unscripted, okay? It is unscripted. It's going to be, from what I understand, it's just going to be a conversation, a message they're going to share based on prompts received from us, I guess. So it's an opportunity to just have some entertainment, as well as I'm sure will be a deep and very enlightening message as well. And so I don't believe we had any kids here with us this morning, so let's all join together in our closing song.
May the long-time sun shine upon you. All surround you, and the pure
And from wherever you may be at this moment, let's join together and affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. Have a wonderful week, everybody.